project, and I've kind of realized that there's a little bit of like a terminology gap between what a lot of people know about electricity and solar and basically someone that's in the industry or someone that works with electricity generally knows. So kind of the first portion of the presentation, I wanted to just kind of get terminology out of the way, so we're all at least on a relative field, and then basically go into kind of how an installation works, how solar works in general, and then kind of go through the common questions that people have, and we can kind of start from there. So the most common questions: how much electricity is your home going to produce? How long will the system last? Environmental impact. Home value increase is one of the biggest ones. And then how much will the system cost is also the other big one. So initially, terminology. So whenever basically you're looking into solar, you're going to be looking into kilowatt hours is basically how everything's framed. Whenever you think about a light bulb, 100-watt light bulb running for an hour is 100 watts. 10 of those running for an hour is 1,000 watts, or 1 kilowatt hour. So whenever a solar system is producing power for an hour, it's basically times 100 of whatever it is. So it's 3,000 watts. It's 3 kilowatt hours is basically how it would be producing the power. So basically, this is basically your standard solar panel. 300 watts is pretty much what an average is. It goes up to about 370 watts for residential systems. Most commercial systems start around that range. So if it's a business owner, they'll be looking for, basically they've got more space, they want to maximize the space they've got. These are just kind of more of the economic model. So kind of the scaling of how it works. Again, 600 watts would be 2, 18 of those would be 4.8 kilowatts down there in the bottom. So net metering, just a show of hands, how many people think that they can actually get a check from the utility in the state of Oregon for overproducing power? Okay, so that's kind of one of the big things that most people when they call into a solar company assume, because that was kind of how the industry started, was you put solar on your home, you maximize your roof, and then you're making as much money as you possibly can off it, and it basically pays off your system in a few years. Basically, the utilities figure out they're losing a lot of money by people doing that, so they implemented what's called net metering. Basically, how that works is everything that you overproduce goes to them, and they hold it as a credit for you. And then in the winter months, things like that, when you were producing less, they just give you that credit back, and you're more or less using the grid as your battery, is kind of one way of thinking about it. So most of the presentations for PGE territory, by the way, just because basically based on your utility, the incentives change, things like that. So for PGE, about 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So as we were talking about a little bit earlier, that's basically the average rate for the entire area. There's about a 4% escalation rate happening every year based on your power usage and what you're being charged. So it'll be roughly 41 cents at 25 years. The reason we use 25 years is that's how long warranty is for those solar systems. So if you buy a system today, 25 years from now, the system should still be producing, and the electric rate will change based off that. So if you buy solar today, basically you're cutting that rate change in half, and that's kind of where those savings really come in with the net metering policies and things like that. So yeah, basically fixing your rate for 25 years is the way of looking at it. So first big question, whenever someone basically talks to you, they give you the square footage of their home, and they're like, how much is my system going to produce? Basically it all comes down to kind of the layout of the home. So this example, the south-facing roof is the best section there. The east-facing roof is still facing slightly south. That would be a good roof. But a lot of the other aspects of the roof, maybe the orientation's not great, the layout, the ridges, there's vents, different things like that can all affect basically where you can put the solar. And there's not really any good way of telling someone a ballpark without actually seeing that in person or Google Maps to kind of get a rough idea. So basically it kind of depends on your situation, is how much your system can produce. So how long will your system produce? Well, for first of all, it's good to get a good contractor and use the good materials. Most solar companies in Oregon basically have a tier 1 standard. That's essentially they use materials that have a 25-year warranty, and all of them have certified electricians, and basically that equals longevity in the system. The way that you really want to kind of know if the company is kind of worth their salt is basically how long they've been around. For Sunbridge, we've been around for 10 years. There is a common thing in solar where companies will start up and then basically should close in the first 3 years due to either lack of installs, lack of basically money coming in, or doing a bad job, and then they change names. So basically, if you're looking into solar, make sure that the company's been around for a while under the same name. So we'll kind of go through a quick install. So how solar is attached to your roof. If you have an asphalt shingle roof, which most residential homes do, we'll be using what's called flashing. So in the top left there, basically what that is a screw that goes into the rafters in your roof. And then it's sealed 3 times. So it's sealed in the hole, it's then sealed on top, and then it's sealed with the flashing itself. And then that's what the footing goes onto. So the footing is actually this little U-shaped thing here, and that's what everything essentially attaches to. So the racking then slides on top of that, and then SolarEdge is an inverter. This one is actually mounted on the side of your home. There's other ones that are mounted right underneath the solar panels. And basically what that does is it just converts the direct current energy into alternating current, and alternating current is what all of our grid is basically running on. And then Silfab is just a local solar company, and basically everything sits right on top of the racking. There's about 3 inches between the bottom of the panel and the roof. And then we'll kind of dive into what this looks like. So here's kind of this initial start. We'll basically find the rafters, put all of the footings in, get everything lined up, make sure everything's oriented correctly, and then we'll basically start from the bottom as our kind of runway type thing, and we'll work our way up with the racking. So there's the racking completely in. And then we've got our first solar panel. The solar panels, depending on what you use, can either be screwed on or clipped on. The clipped on is a little bit quicker. You can basically just put your body weight on it and it'll stay there. The screw on is a little bit better for people that are concerned about high wind areas, things like that. But for the most part, very simple, just kind of walk out and put it on. Most solar contractors can do about 24 solar panels in a day, kind of depending on the layout. If it's all one section, if it's multiple sections, kind of changes a little bit. But here's the beginning of the array. You'll actually see up here, it's kind of small, but those are the microinverters. They just kind of also clip in on the back of the racking there. And then solar panels go right over the top of them, clip them in, and everything just kind of operates from there. So there's the full portion, and there's it done. So this typically would take probably about 2 days to do this sort of install. The electricians might be there an extra day, just kind of finishing some things up, but the install crew themselves want to be there for about 2 days. And yeah, pretty straightforward job. So, home value increase. I know I've sent you at least one article about that, and I think I might have sent you one as well. Basically, there's a study done by the Department of Energy, ranging basically what the average is. So 390 is about the number that I normally use. That's per watt. So if you do 1,000, let's just say 1,000 watts, it'd be about $3,900 that you'd be adding to your home. And basically how you can kind of compare if you're getting a good deal is whenever you're looking at multiple solar estimates, you look at on the per watt basis. So if it's like 1,000 watts, let's say again, and it's, let's say, 300 watt solar panel, you'd be paying about $3.30 per watt. So in this case, you'd actually be adding more value to your home than you would be for paying for that solar panel. Basically, if you're looking at it, I'll kind of go through some averages here in a little bit for different utility districts, but we can kind of dive into that in a second. So these are actually from last year, so I need to update this, but the federal tax credit is 26% off of basically everything you install, whether that's a battery, whether it's solar, whether it's both, takes 26% off. There's no cap to that, and that basically just kind of comes out what your taxable income is. The Energy Trust of Oregon is now capped at $3,200, and that's based on how much you install. So if you install a smaller system, you're going to get a little bit less of a rebate, but it's kind of scalable based off of that until you get that cap. So here's kind of those averages I was mentioning. Pacific Power's slightly cheaper. I don't know exactly why it was in that case, but yeah, it pretty much just kind of depends on the layout of your home again. And then yeah, the average system size is a little bit bigger. So this is kind of a good breakdown of how the basically incentives will come into play. So if you max out the Energy Trust and then you've got that federal tax incentive, here's your gross cost that you'll actually see on top of the contract, and then your net investment after that first year if you take all the federal tax credit, basically dropping your average system of 8.1 kilowatts to about $2 per watt, whereas you're basically buying it at roughly $3.50, $4, somewhere in that range. The $12 same as cash alone is basically meant to match the federal tax credit at that time, and then PSECU is just one of the banks that we use semi-regularly. So there's that as well. So here's basically the system being produced. 8.1 kilowatts over the life of the system. PGE's average rate would be 24 cents. You're paying 6 cents. There we go.
Can you go back? There's a little piece there at the bottom there.
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
So Clayton, when will those incentives disappear? So if we're talking to someone and we want to say sooner is better than later, are those incentives going to disappear anytime soon?
So the Oregon ones basically fluctuate based on the month almost. So the state of Oregon, we were trying to get basically a couple $1 million set up for there to be low-income housing available to get solar, and then basically like in your average residential system. Those basically it's kind of first come first serve. So if people are interested, they should basically hop in and get it as soon as possible. For the federal, last year was 30%, this year's 26, next year's 22, and it disappears after that for residential. So basically there's kind of that 2-year window where you can still get a sizable amount off of your solar systems. But yeah, time's ticking unless things change with incentives and things like that. So.
How long do those batteries last?
25 years. So you can buy extended warranties on most of those. The warranty starting at about 10 years, but you can buy the extended warranty on those, and I believe it's about $1,000 or $2,000 for the extended warranty.
Huh.
So Clayton, you said a lot of those companies, went out of business, so even though you have a 25-year warranty, but if the company that sold you the materials is gone, you have no warranty.
So the warranty is through the manufacturer. So like if you buy, let's say Silfab was one of the companies, the panel itself would still be warranted through the company, but there wouldn't be someone that could legally go out and work on it. So most solar companies don't go and work on someone else's project because they don't know what's been done. And if they go out and touch it, then they're legally liable. So that's kind of one of the things that you want to make sure the company's been around for a while. Yeah, basically, you should also look at the workmanship warranty through the company. So some companies have been around for a year and they have 10-year workmanship warranties. Math doesn't usually add up. So for Sunbridge, we have a 10-year workmanship warranty because we've been around for 10 years. We're confident we'll be here for another 10. And basically that's anything that we touch. So if you have a roof leak, if you have electrical issues, we'll come out and fix it.
Sorry, I know his time is up and everything.
Quick question though, does it, by installing one, do you check or do you ask or whatever to make sure that somebody has a newer roof versus a roof that's only got 3 years left on it? Because I know it's not going to protect the entire roof, but it is going to save some life on the roof. But
Mm-hmm.
do you?
So typically we recommend about 5 years of life left in the roof because it costs about $2,000, $4,000 to come out, replace, basically take the system off, put it back on whenever you're doing a roof replacement. Basically kind of miss those costs. We recommend 5 years. Newer roofs are always better, so usually we try and recommend if someone's looking to do a re-roof in the next year or two, we just say hold off on the solar, like do your re-roof and we'll just come out and do it all at once. You can kind of wrap all those costs into one thing. So.
You are being proactive with it instead of just installing and then.
Yeah, no, we don't recommend doing installation because then it's just kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Wow. So if you want to know